Welcome everybody to the VooPlayer Q&A weekly webinar. Apologies for a slight delay in getting started. Hopefully we'll get started soon. All we need is just confirmation that both audio and video are working as expected, and then we can get started. So if you can just confirm that you can both hear my voice as well as see my screen, which say VooPlayer Q&A. Dean is answering yes and yes even before I ask the questions. So I assume everything is in order, and then we can get started. Lewis saying working unlike last week. Yeah, it appears that Demio, the webinar platform that we're using, is going through some updates on how they handle streaming, and with new releases, apparently there's always issues. So I'm glad that's sorted out. Hopefully we won't have these or any other technical difficulties this or any other week. So, all right, once again, welcome to the VooPlayer Q&A weekly webinar. My name is Peter. I am VooPlayer's product manager, and we're holding these webinars in order to answer any questions that you as users may have, also to provide any training on any advanced features or use cases of video in your business, also to showcase new stuff that we've been working on, as well as to gather any feedback, ideas, criticisms, suggestions, thoughts, etc., on how we can keep improving VooPlayer and keep adding value to your business through video. All right, so with that out of the way, I just want to note the format of the webinar is pretty straightforward. So at any time that you have a question, or if you came prepared with any questions, you can just leave them here in the chat box, and we'll just answer them in the order that they come in. If you are unable for any reason to attend one of these, but are curious about what happened, weekly replays are available both on our YouTube channel as well as on our Facebook group, links to which I posted in the chat box. And if you haven't subscribed or joined to those, I do encourage you to do so, so you're always up to date on everything that's going on with VooPlayer. One more thing, if you have any of those suggestions, thoughts, or criticism, ideas, requests for features, requests for integrations, etc., good place to always go to is directly from your application. If you're logged in, you can just click over here on documentation and support and click on submit and vote on ideas. Here you will see our product board with things that we're currently working on, things that we are considering implementing, all of the integration requests that we have, as well as the stuff that we've recently launched. So I'll share the link to that as well. And most critically of that is up here you have the button to submit an idea. And there you can describe your idea or your thoughts, suggestions, and indicate what kind of priority that has. And then once we review it and organize it and roadmap it, then we can put it up to other users to vote. So all of these came from other users' requests, like the integration for Drip, for example, was requested by users multiple times through this product board, and then we added it up for voting. And by the looks of it, that's going to be the next integration that we start working on. So that's kind of how the feedback is collected, organized, and prioritized. Good. Lewis said, regarding your Facebook post, is this related to YouTube vids from the past few months showing logo-related videos, etc.? Unless there is any other questions, because this discussion can go pretty deep, but I'll try and answer it really quickly. So. YouTube and VooPlayer is the most popular combination for all of the YouTube users because it both offers excellent infrastructure and streaming from YouTube hosting. So you upload your video on YouTube, and there you have Google's cloud networks streaming your content, so you can't beat that. And then you can just grab that link and come over to Voo Player, say I want to create a new video, and from there you go to URL and you just enter in the YouTube URL, and then you have your YouTube video playing through Voo Player. And the additional benefit, the audio keeps playing on that, you can hear it. So the additional benefit of that, of course, aside from now you having the ability to use all of the Voo Player features on that video, which is in fact hosted on YouTube, like changing the appearance of the player, adding interactive elements, adding integrations to third-party providers, etc., and etc., 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 everything that you can do with Voo Player. The additional benefit of this approach is that you are getting rid of Voo Player YouTube video distractions. So if I just wanted to, for example, grab this YouTube video directly from YouTube and say, hey, I just want to embed this, and I grab that embed code and I want to place it on my website. So this is directly from YouTube. This is not through the Voo Player integration. So I come over here and say, hey, this is my website, and here I want to have this embed code. And when I'm playing this video on my website now, I have all of these pop-ups for related videos, the logo, YouTube ads, etc., all this stuff that's distractions for your viewers from your content that are making it harder for them to see the video and not be distracted by related videos and drift off somewhere else. So with YouTube, with YouTube video, which is hosted or integrated or imported in Voo Player with this embed code. So I'll actually put them side by side. So here, so I'll have them side by side or one below the other, doesn't matter. So here with the Voo Player video, which is the one on the bottom, so now when I play this video, you'll see that I have no distractions at all on any of the content. So you will not have the related videos, you won't have the logo, you won't have anything distracting you. So the that's the big advantage of this integration. Now, what happened was that YouTube changed something in the way that they host files, or at least request in the way that they accept requests for the source material of the YouTube videos. And once they, at the moment that they did that, all of the videos started playing through a YouTube player, which is embedded in Voo Player. And that can sometimes happen. So let me just pull this up. So if you are interested to learn more about this, good resource would be YouTube logo regulations. So a quick way to identify whether you're gonna have with even with Voo Player, it's possible to have those related videos and logos and ads, etc., inside of your videos. The only way to ensure that you don't is to follow these guidelines, is to not have your video have age restriction enabled, to make sure that your license is set to standard YouTube license, make sure that embedding is allowed, or rather, yeah, embedding is allowed. The video can't be private. The YouTube can't have any declared copyrights on that video, etc., etc. So all of those are violations which prevent us from accessing the source directly and are forced to play it through a YouTube player, which is embedded within the Voo Player. And in that case, you'll have the related videos, etc. So what happened, I think a couple of days ago, if I'm not mistaken, is that YouTube changed something, and then we weren't aware of the change, and all of the videos started playing, all of the YouTube videos started playing with the logo and the related videos, and so on and so on. We identified what was the change. We deployed the update, I think, within the 24 hours, and that solved the issue. So all of the videos which were previously playing without the YouTube logo are now continuing to play without the YouTube logo. So that's great. However, I would make one exception. This is something that we started seeing yesterday, is that if you had YouTube videos which were playing without the logo, you had them set up and everything was working, and then all of a sudden you noticed that they started showing up the YouTube logo. The one problem with that could be that if you uh, went in to edit that video within the WooPlayer application during that time that it was broken and you hit save, at that time, it is possible that that video will still have the YouTube logo. It's a matter of we can simply fix those videos to revert them to have to play without the logo. But just be sure if you had YouTube videos without the logo and you were editing them and saving them within the past, let's say 48 hours, it is possible they will continue playing with the logo, and the fix that we implemented will not happen. The reason for that is that once we get an error from YouTube, like we did for all of these videos, we automatically just shift to the YouTube player as a fallback. And then if you hit save, if you happen to hit save at that point, then you would get stuck on that YouTube logo, and your video would just continue playing with it. I know that's a mouthful, and hopefully that made some sense. So basically, if you were editing and saving YouTube videos that previously didn't have a YouTube logo within the past 48 hours, let's say, then double check. They shouldn't have a logo present, but if they do, let us know, and we can look to resolve that. All right, cool. Otherwise, to answer your question, so I think the question was aimed, is this related to YouTube videos from the past few months showing logo in related videos, etc.? No, it's not related to that. If your videos were previously showing logos and related videos, like 3 days ago and prior, they will continue to do so. If that's the case, then you need to adjust these settings on those YouTube videos. So let me just share that link as well. Alrighty. Before we get to any other questions, I did have one announcement that I wanted to run through quickly, but we'll jump back straight into the questions. So we're pleased to announce that we have become / are becoming, we're kind of missing the final step of the approval, a supported provider on Embedly, which is the leading platform for OEmbeds, meaning that on all of these great platforms, Medium, Kickstarter, Reddit, etc., 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 you can simply paste the WooPlayer share link, and then you'll get the video. So you don't need the embed code anymore. And a lot of these platforms, like Medium, they don't allow you to to put in embed codes. You need to provide a link to a video, and soon enough, that's going to be, I'm hoping by next week, we're going to be a supported provider on Embedly, who is handling OEmbeds for all of these platforms. And a lot of WordPress builders, etc., are also using Embedly. So that's going to be, I think, a great leap in onboarding new people and learning them how to embed WooPlayer, as well as open new opportunities for utilizing WooPlayer and all of these great platforms. So that's great news. We'll have more on that in the coming week. I think we got listed a couple of days ago, but we're not still fully supported. Let me just check product providers. Where do we have providers? Embedly providers. See if there's a list. Not Emily providers. Embedly providers. Still on that keyboard with the water spilled over it, in case anybody was wondering. WooPlayer. There we are. We got listed, but we're not still fully supported. We're awaiting the final step of the approval process. So we sincerely look forward to opening a lot of new opportunities for utilizing WooPlayer on those new platforms, as well as easing the onboarding process for a lot of people who are using those types of builders where you just paste the share link in a video element. All right, that's something I just wanted to share with you, just so you guys are aware, and you can come up with testing use cases for it in the coming weeks. Clark Cotton is asking, who owns the ideas presented here, the idea provider or WooPlayer? Are ideas donated to WooPlayer royalty free? Which ideas? The ideas on the ideas board? The ideas on the ideas board, if that was the question. So let me just get it back up. So for example, if you submit a new idea, that's a matter of you telling WooPlayer that you would like to see something supported within its platform. Legally speaking, I believe it's your idea, but you openly shared it with WooPlayer and said it will be great to have it be a part of WooPlayer. Same as if we were just having a conversation right now and you said, hey, it would be great if WooPlayer could teleport you from point A to point B. And I said, yeah, that sounds great. And I actually end up doing that. I consider it our ownership as well. Demori is saying, as a viewer, I've just read your question, but I don't know what you mean. Can you go into more detail so I can better understand your question? I think Demori tried to beat me to get Clark to elaborate on that. Dean is asking, are there any funnels? Are there any updates on funnels? You mentioned 2 weeks ago that you have a demo or something for last week's webinar. Unfortunately, no. We are somewhat short on development staff. One developer is getting married and he's on his honeymoon right now. We have one vacation going on, so we've kind of slowed down and are mostly into debugging mode for the last couple of weeks. So we had one funnels demo, but we've kind of stopped any major pushing progress on that for now. So we're kind of just maintaining the status quo as is and making sure that nothing too big breaks and are just putting out fires wherever they show up. Clark is elaborating on his question and saying, if you come up with a good idea for your white label, is it coded to be available to all white labels or just your idea that you provided to WooPlayer? Well, that confused me. If you come up with a good idea for your white label, is it coded to be available? If you integrate nothing that you do, oh, I see what you mean. So if you say it would be great if my white label account could have support for so and so, yeah, at that point, if we integrate to if we decide to integrate your idea into white label accounts, that will be I'm inclined to say 99% sure that will be implemented on all white label accounts rather than on just one. If you have a specific integration request or a specific piece of code that you would like to have run in a white label account, we are always willing to hear out and you can say, I don't want this on other white label accounts, and we can see if we can facilitate that. Maybe it will be good to move this conversation to our support channel, and then we can talk about this one-on-one, because I'm sure that you would want to share that idea openly on the webinar. So I can see what's feasible to accommodate something like that. Dudley is saying that your sound was breaking up when you were talking about Embedly. I hope it not like that on the recording. Dean is saying that he did not hear any breaking up, so it should be good on the replay. Good. Clark clarifying. Okay, so no unique custom ideas for your white label. Sounds good. One exception and that's why I said 99%, is that for your white label accounts, and let me see if I remember this, I don't know if I have something set up. I don't. But on your white label accounts, you can run custom code and whatever. So if something that you come up with can be implemented through this custom code, that will only be run on your own white label. That won't be run on sites for other people and their white labels. So if but not much can necessarily be accomplished. This is primarily intended for tracking scripts for various chats, pop-ups, and other sort of integration tools. But if it's something that would that you envision remodeling the way that WooPlayer works or adding a new feature or something like that, I highly doubt that it could be implemented through something like the custom code. But always willing to hear out suggestions. All right. Do we have any other questions at this time? Let me just run through something. Where did I see that? Actually, I can't open that up right now. Never mind. Disregard me. So Will is saying, forgot, what is white label pricing? White label pricing is only available on the enterprise license. So if you are an enterprise license holder, you are able to resell WooPlayer accounts at 10, sorry, not WooPlayer accounts. You are able to sell white label licenses for whatever price you're able to set, but we are charging you $10 per month for them. And more information on that can be found in the docs section under white label, not white label, my site and clients, I think we're calling that. My site and clients, that's right. So let me just share a link to that as well, and that goes into more extensive details on sort of the intended use cases and how you can set up your own custom domains, sites, etc. All right. Lewis is saying, I look forward to the transportation update, but on a serious note, the ideas board, and I don't want to sound too harsh, but I would rather see features that we already have working correctly before adding more and VP getting buggy all over again. I completely agree with that. That's a very good point, and that's one of the reasons of why we're not rushing too heavily with funnels. And I think as you will note on the ideas board, I think I closed it. Let me get it back up. We don't have that much planned with regards to new functionality and new features. So we are heavily focused on stability of the product, both from the client engagement side, meaning all of the bugs that can happen in the player itself, as well as stability of the infrastructure with regards to performance. We currently, so the screen recording plugin that we had is nearly completed, and we're not doing anything new to it. Aside from occasionally identifying a hardware issue that we resolve, and that has nothing to do with the WooPlayer application. That's sort of a standalone application altogether. And visual build out of the funnels is something that we have identified as having a lot of value, but we're really working on it in spare time, so to speak. So our main focus heavily is on stability of the product and resolving active issues, as well as increasing the stability and the performance of the infrastructure that WooPlayer sits on. So I think we're on the same page, Lewis. We're not. We don't have we have thousands and thousands of ideas for new features, but we also feel that there's no need to rush to anything that we currently don't have anything that delivers so much value. We're currently only, as I mentioned, expanding opportunities, increasing stability, and I think growing the capacity for larger and larger volumes of traffic. That's also one of the problems that we're facing now. In May, we're hitting 50 million views. So that's something that, and in comparison to, I think, May of 2018, we had 5 million views. So that kind of growth also forces us to rethink some things about how we're going to scale. So nothing necessarily aside from stability is on our radar and taking on priority. Clark Cotton is saying no support for white label accounts is up to enterprise license holder, but well worth it. No support for white label accounts is up to enterprise license holder, but well worth it. Not sure I understand that. If you want to hide WooPlayer from your white label account holders, you can do that completely, but your enterprise will support those users 100%, including sales and buying credits. Oh, I see what you're saying. Credits are sold to enterprise holder. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So that's good to note, is that WooPlayer, not only can you hide, but you have to hide everything related to WooPlayer from your white label, hence it being a white label. So that includes you have to sell it on your own. You can't sell it using WooPlayer materials in any way. You have to brand it as your own. It can't be called WooPlayer. It has to be called whatever Clark Player, and it needs to have Clark Player's appearance and logo. It can't sit on a WooPlayer domain, so it has to sit on clarkcottonplayer.com. It can't use WooPlayer payment processing, so all of the payment processing needs to be handled on your end, meaning that you can't sell anything. We can't sell anything to the user, including additional capacities within the application, such as storage and bandwidth. Hence, the way of handling that is that you, as the enterprise holder, or as we like to refer to it, enterprise users in this situation, you as the master account are obtaining the resources from us and then reselling them to the users, and making sense that all of this incurs additional time and effort on your end. We are definitely recognizing that, and this is why we're allowing you to sell those licenses at whatever cost you see fit. If the only worthwhile effort for you is to sell them at whatever $700 per month, you're more than welcome to do that if you have buyers. Yes. All right, cool. We're running out of time here. So maybe we have time for one last question if somebody gets it in. Otherwise, we got a question from Lewis. Do white label accounts hide web URL for images? I tried it and it's still as creating a link to WooPlayer. Do white label accounts hide web URL for images? I tried it and it still acts and it's still as creating as a link to WooPlayer. Not sure I understand this, Lewis. Maybe you can hit me up at support@woolplayer.com and we can get to the bottom of that. I want to thank everybody for joining this week. Hopefully we'll see you again next week, and have a great remainder of this week. Bye for now.